Hey everyone, Happy New Year, and I wish you guys the best in 2023. So in today's vlog, we're going to talk about one of my most popular videos on YouTube, which is why people treat you like shit. And the example that I gave in that video was my own son. Like when you give to people and you don't create boundaries, those people are naturally going to keep taking and keep taking. So one of the examples was I was exhausted after work one day, and he could have walked over to the store for milk. He chose not to because he was playing video games all day. And then he phoned me at around 5 p.m. and says, "Hey mom, can you go pick up the milk for me?" And I was like, "You were home all day." You know, I could have said, "Dude, you're gonna have to go out without milk. I left money on the counter. You chose not to pick it up, and now the consequences are that you have no milk with dinner, so drink water." I could have said something like that, but what I did was I went to the grocery store, I grabbed milk, totally exhausted, by the way, and guess what? He knew I was at the grocery store, so he calls me and says, "Oh yeah, do you mind while you're there picking up some chips and some popsicles?" And I was like, what the hell? So even though I was resentful about it, guess what I did? I picked up the popsicles, I picked up the chips, I even grabbed some cheese and a few other things, because now I'm defeated and I'm already at the grocery store and I am being used essentially, right? Because don't forget, my kid is now 19 years old. At this time, he was probably 15 or 16, and the grocery store is walking distance from our house, and I had left money for him, okay? So this is how we get used. And a lot of the comments below are giving me, like, people are giving me examples of what's happened to them, and they just can't understand how they got to this place. Like, how did I get here? Here's how you got there. You give people a little bit, they're gonna take what you give, they're gonna push a little harder, but the minute you start putting your back up, they're gonna back off. That's day one. Day two, they're gonna push you to the limit where they know that they can push you to, then they're gonna take a little bit more. And because you're already defeated, you're just gonna be like, ugh. So they're gonna take even an inch more the next day until you hit your limit once again and you put your back up. Day three. And when I say day one, day two, day three, this could be week one, week two, year one, year two. This takes years. We will take on other people's requests, even though we don't want to do it, and unjustifiably treat ourselves like shit through the other person because we give in. We give in. We give in. So this takes years of accumulation. That's how you got there. People around you basically took advantage of you because you let them. They took a little bit. They saw how far you could go. You put your back up. They're like, "Oh, this bitch I can get more the next day. I just need to wait until she's in this kind of mood and I can get more. I know I can." And they'll try again. If not the next day, day two, day three. Definitely that 1 week, in that week, they will try again a few times. And whether you let them do this to you is up to you. So I'll tell you, the minute I stopped, I realized what I was doing, and I was like, why am I doing this? This is ridiculous. I should not have to be so exhausted and get out to the grocery store if I don't want to when I've left money on the counter. So what happened with me is over the years, I started becoming resentful. I started becoming resentful even to my own child. And I'll tell you, I truthfully believe that resentfulness is one of the worst attributes in one's soul. Because what happens when you lose so much power to the point where you become resentful of the other person, you basically become a follower. You start to do things even though you don't want to, like a robot. And these people will, it makes their life easier. So they're going to be like, yes, let's keep taking advantage of this bitch. She is not going to say no. So rightfully so, they do. But what happens when you become a resentful human being? You put yourself in a place where you are susceptible to doing the wrong thing. So when you become resentful, you're resentful because your ethics and your morals were fucked with by other people. You allowed it, but they were fucked with. You gave so much to other people that you become delusional of what love actually means. Love is not doing, and the other person taking, but you become so skewed in the resentfulness that we forget what love actually means. So if there's an outbreak in the world and chaos, like the zombie apocalypse, is that how you say it? You are probably, because the people that have so much resentfulness in them, the people that are resentful become the most dangerous. And Jordan Peterson talks about this. They become the people that will follow the herd and will be the first to kill other people. Because we've lost our morals, we've lost our ethics. You know why? Because we didn't follow our own inner morals, inner ethics. We didn't learn how to say no. That is how bad resentfulness is. So for all of those people that comment, thank you so much for commenting on that video. And for all those people that were asking, like, how did I get here? It took time. It took years, possibly. Now it's time to unravel it. And you know how you unravel it? You start by really honing in to what you want. And if you want to say no, then you say no. You say it politely. You say it kindly. You don't have to be an asshole about it. You can just be like, no, I'm sorry, I'm too tired, and give the person an alternative. Have water instead of milk for dinner tonight. Maybe tomorrow you can go grab the milk. You know, this one's on you. So maybe the next day you can go grab it. And when I started doing that with my son, he started respecting me more. He literally, he would get up. Before, I was always expected to turn the heat on in the car before we got into the car. Okay, back when we didn't have the remotes where you could turn the heat on from inside. But when I put my boundaries up and I started saying no, my kid on his own started going to the car, starting the car for me, because he started becoming more thoughtful towards my needs. So if I'm doing something in the kitchen, instead of waiting for me and then making me go out and putting the heat on in the car for us, he started noticing, okay, my mom's busy. I'm going to go turn the car on real quick. I'm going to take some responsibility. So in the beginning, you might get some pushback, but if you give the other person who's always taking an alternative and keep your boundaries, they may give you pushback because they're used to ease in their life. And when you start making their life a little harder by making them do things on their own, at first you will experience pushback, but trust me, I'm saying this from experience, in the long run, it gets easier. It gets much easier. Love you guys so much. Bye.